What do a lot of people miss when it comes to the root of black marriages not being successful in America?
Racism.
The fact that they don't want us to be together. The amount of energy that they put out. The amount of energy that they put out to make to separate and like put a divide and build a wedge between the black man and the black woman. I don't understand why we supposed to, like, the fact that niggas is still getting married is amazing to me.
So you don't want black men to get married, or what do you mean by that? You're surprised by it.
Marriage as an institution in the United States is fucked up, right? It's broken. Okay. It's completely one-sided, and it's been engineered that way for a reason, right? And in my opinion, until black women specifically, black men, we got all these issues, traumas, etc., etc., etc. But black women cannot be criticized in a grandiose term. So it's just like, it's not that I'm saying, like, I'm the youngest of 7. One of my brothers was a fuckboy. He's just out there in the world producing people, right? Mm-hmm. My sister, he was also married like 3 times. My father was married 4 times. My closest sibling in age is currently on husband number 5.
Damn, how?
Husband number 5?
5.
How do you do that?
What?
So it's just like, but it's just like when I look at the reason, like, if you're in Africa, when I went to Ghana, one of the things that I noticed is that if you ain't got it, you just ain't got it, and you're fucked. That's just it. If you ain't got the hustle, if you ain't got the mindset for it, you're fucked. In the U.S., women don't have to deal with the realities that a lot of women around the rest of the world have to deal with. So when we talk about like the black marriage specifically in the United States, mm-hmm. It's fucked up because marriage in the United States is fucked up. 50%. My grandmama on both sides was married until their husband's death. Side families down the street and everything. But it's just like all of a sudden, if you are not completely devoted and mentally enslaving yourself to your wife, all of a sudden that's grounds for abuse.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Jabari.
I think so. For me, I think the reason why, and when I include racism, I'm primarily inducing the economic aspect of it, which leads to the structural aspect of it. When we think of marriage, it comes oftentimes from this Christianized, westernized version of marriage, and this idea of one man, one woman, completely monogamous, which people conflate monogamy and fidelity, and that needs to be addressed. Fidelity and monogamy are not the same thing, and people make it the same thing. Fidelity means loyalty, faithfulness, commitment. Monogamy means sexual interaction with strictly one person. So I can still be fidelitous or have fidelity to you, loyalty, faithfulness to you, but have multiple partners or multiple relations. And the fact that people don't understand the different structures makes marriage practically impossible because everybody has this strict version that westernized really came into being in the mid 1800s. It was the romanticism period, as they call it. And to get to the economic side, that's one of the reasons why marriages decline. It's financial and economically. We don't live in America back in the day where you can live off of one job. One of the partners can live off of one job and the other can stay home, and there's services to raise the children like daycare. Nowadays, daycare is expensive. I don't have the means to stay at home. I don't have these structures in place. I don't have maternity leave, paternity leave. And so it's like, if you're not financially stable, your marriage is not going to last. And if you try to keep it, it's going to be dysfunctional because your mom and daddy are working. Sometimes they're working 2 or 3 jobs, so they're not going to be there. You're rarely going to be talking to one another. You're constantly stressed out because you're constantly under duress that you may default on a payment. You might be evicted from your home. And so that's when we look, especially considering that Black people, we have little wealth, little to no power in this country. To expect Black marriages to be successful is a lofty, almost impossible goal. Because I understand that people talk about the Black family and all this stuff out of wedlock and situation, but we completely forget about white people having wedlock off the charts, Hispanic people. Like, this is a problem of American society. But I'll let somebody else take it, mantle.
Good words, bro. Good words. See you later, bro. Yeah, I think that people just get married for the wrong reasons. I think people like the idea of marriage. You know, I think that a lot of particularly Black folks, it's a religious connotation, like, because that's what we've been socialized to believe: man, woman, family. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with it. However, I think that people just get married for the wrong reasons. Maybe get married too young. They haven't even developed as a person, and here they are starting a life with a whole nother person, and then start a family. Then 10 years later, when they 35, 40, they realize that they are completely different people, and they don't want nothing to do with this person. And now they cheating and ruining a relationship, breaking up families, and everything else. So I think that, yeah, the lack of real commitment, like not thinking it through. You know what I mean? Like just taking that leap without really thinking about what that shit means.
Well, no, but that's on both sides, right? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
Like,
I wasn't just talking about just man or woman.
Yeah, no, right. Black men go into relationships without thinking about any of the things. They kind of just don't think about it. But women come into it on the same bullshit where it's just, they don't think about all of the big questions. It's just like, what is it like? What is this man's sexual appetite? Can I conquer that? But then, I don't know. Like, I just think that the entire institution of marriage in this country is broken.
Heavy sigh.
What happened?
I'm sorry. I'm doing a heavy sigh so you guys can hear. Sigh. Heavy sigh. Heavy sigh from the only woman. Heavy sigh. So you know why I didn't want to come on here? I knew. I was like, there's too many Black men up in this room. Last time I came in, told them there's too much testosterone up in here. And I knew when I saw the topic for tonight, I was like, I don't want my blood pressure to go on. I don't need my blood pressure up.
I was not trying to trigger you. I'm in my own feelings right now.
No, I do. You want to know my opinion? You're like, no, but we're going to hear it anyway.
Please tell us.
Sorry, I had to get the rest of this heavy sigh out. I think a huge part of the problem is some of us are still stuck in that slave mentality and don't know how to be husbands or wives. And I think some of us, we live right now in a patriarchal society. And so I think a lot of men want to get away with, everything that they can get away with there. And they want, what I've been hearing lately is a lot of men like, oh, what does the woman bring to the table? And everything got to be 50-50, but still hate a woman if she goes out and conquers her part of the 50-50 by getting a job and all this stuff. It's like, I feel like a lot of Black men are stuck. Well, I have something to say about both sides of it. I think a lot of Black men in America have been conditioned with our current culture to not be men and not be husbands. They don't know how to, because the last couple hundred years, they were forced to not be men and forced to not be husbands. And it's like, okay, slavery ended, but you never learned how to be like a full man again.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that in the grandest scheme, but I do believe, because it's just like, I realize how rare it was. Like, I was raised in a house with my father. He might not have been the most dominant or the most masculine, and I do come from a matriarchal family. So it's just like he didn't have the patience to like speak up or whatever.
I don't think matriarchy or whatever really has much to do with it. Because again, I'm sorry to be a history nerd, but Black people fared the best under matriarchal societies. We're not living in one right now, and things are going to shit.
Hold on. But when you say Black people fared best under matriarchal societies, like what are you talking about?
Best. That doesn't mean that they can. That doesn't mean that if a patriarchal Black society came up, we couldn't do great too. But in history, if you look at all of Africa, in any time frame, the Black people did best under matrilineal and matriarchal societies. They're the oldest societies in the world. They're the longest running in the world. They're the most peaceful in the world. And in my opinion, Black men were the best that they ever were in these matrilineal, matriarchal societies. They accomplished the most that they've ever accomplished under these societies. And matriarchal and matrilineal does not mean the woman is above the man and bosses him around. That's not what that means. Matrilineal just means that like inheritance or something like that is passed through the woman. The matriarchal means like royalty is passed through the female.
But I still think that's the reality today.
It's not really.
Not as far as society is concerned. I'm talking about as far as
in the Black community you're thinking, but it's not. I see what you mean, but it's not. It's some warped mess because.
I agree with Kexia. To say that it's matriarchal is laughable. Is laughable because I said to say that the Black community, like people say this Black matriarchy, I wholeheartedly disagree because there are a couple aspects of matrilineality and matriarchy that people forget about. Like you said, inheritance. But number two is, do Black men adopt the last names of Black women when their husbands get married? Usually in many societies, whenever the woman was of higher social status, the man took the woman's last name. We don't do that. That's one thing.
One thing I want to say about that too is I know he was saying it's a matrilineal society right now for Black people in America, but just because Black women are doing the majority of the work does not mean it's a matrilineal society.
No.
I know. Hold on. Let me finish.
Yeah.
For the most part, and this is not all Black men. I want to remind y'all, I was raised by an awesome Black man, my older brother, who's like the fucking bomb. That's why I think so highly of Black men, because my brother is the motherfucking bomb. And I come from a family with some fucking amazing Black men, and most of my mentors have been Black men. So I know how absolutely great Black men can be when they are at their top of the game. But unfortunately, I think because of the legacy of slavery and stuff, a lot of Black men right now in America, it feels like they're not pulling the weight. The women are pulling.